for that. It's pretty much exactly what Complexity did in the American qualifiers.
Two interesting picks here. Clinks. Storm Spirit and then right away the Clinks, so no hesitation on that.
Why does Clinks seem to be a good pick here?
Create space, good in the mid game. Will just go around looking for kills while Tiny just farms it up. Can create space for Tiny to be able to push down towers once in the later stages of the game once Tiny has Ags. It does give them a kind of weak team fight, though.
He upsets a lot of 1v1 matchups as well. We saw TNC playing it yesterday as a Leshrac counter in the 1v1 matchup. Lots of physical damage. Strafe means that you're going to trade very efficiently. You don't really need a bottle to be effective, and then worst case, you go invis, and then, like you said, really good mid-game. It's a very different playstyle than most heroes that people are picking right now, but the most important one, I think, is that he matches up very good in a 1v1. I bet he beats a Quap in a 1v1.
I think he might be mid against Storm, though, and Storm has high base armor.
Yeah,
but I don't think he loses.
I still think he can win that matchup. Just
do you think they're sending him mid then as opposed to the Wisp Tiny, or?
I don't think I would want to do Clinks versus a Wisp Tiny even because there's
they're on the same team. Do you think which of those two do you think is going mid?
If it's going to be a Bristle, I think I would rather still put the Wisp Tiny because I feel like you could farm there and have no problem with it, and then you want to put the Clinks in the safe lane, get him some levels. Once he's level 6, then he moves around the map getting kills, and then that should create more space for Rubik to farm as well as the Wisp Tiny to take control of the entire jungle.
Yeah, I think they were pretty certain that March was going to be on the Bristleback, so Clinks looks really well in that respect and been able to stay pretty far out of range of the Bristleback with a new additional attack range that he has up to 625 now, I believe, and also the addition 630. Okay, so I was off by just a little bit, and also you need to pick decent, solo laners when you have a Wisp Tiny, right? Because you're not the Rubik's going to be trying to help out a bit, but the Wisp isn't really going to go bottom much. So you need to pick a relatively strong, like a Weaver or just basically a ranged carrier, somebody that can do well when he ends up by himself. But with that said, guys, we might have some action here. This is going to be Game 2 of Rave versus MVP. Winner moves on. Loser has their international hopes dashed. Joining us will be Andrew Ziori Campbell and Kevin Purge Godek. Take it away, guys.
All right, do or die for Rave at this stage of the game. They absolutely need this one to take it to an ace match. This could be the end of their dreams and hopes here for the TI5 main event, actually, not even just the qualifiers.
That would be a huge crushing defeat for Rave. They've been trying very hard to make it ever since DAC, where they placed 5th, which was an amazing place and run for them. They've had their eyes set on TI, but they didn't get the invite, and then by being put into the lower bracket here, just a really tough run, and now one game is all it's going to take.
Yeah,
Rave is out.
One of the more difficult qualifiers without any stretch of the imagination. This region is just, it's bloody, man. It's cutthroat. So looking at the lanes, how are things going to settle down here? Looks like they'll have safe lane Darkseer, Clinks headed to the off lane played by Jo, so it will indeed be the Tiny Wisp mid. And I think Rubik will end up going off lane with the Clinks at least to start. Dire side, they don't put the Bristle mid as we were suspecting here, Purge. It is the Queen of Pain, at least for now, and they will settle on a 2-1-2 with the Bristle headed to the off lane.
I wonder if this is a bit of lane swapping mind games that Rave is going on here. I mean, Clinks off lane is something you see in pubs, but I think it's really bad versus tri-lanes. But against the support Earthshaker, you're in a really good spot here. You can very easily zone him. It's impossible for Earthshaker to zone you. Obviously, Storm could hypothetically come up after the fissure block, but if you've got a level in invis, it becomes a bit of a chore to kill him. So I think the lanes here are looking pretty good for Rave. Maybe Quap should be able to get a kill, but if they start doing mid pulls or something like that, we're not going to see the Quap get a whole lot of experience. And I think Darkseer is pretty survivable against the Bristle and doesn't have too much threat of dying. So I think these lane positions really favor Rave.
Yeah, the Witch Doctor has already rotated out of the bottom, so it will be Bristle versus Darkseer, and that should be okay for both sides, but I think in particular the Darkseer should be able to get a lot of experience and some decent creep kills out of this lane.
Well, maybe with the Witch Doctor rotating top lane into a tri-lane, they'll be okay, because then it's a Clinks with a Rubik versus a Tri. So if they get a fissure block off, I could definitely see some kills here. So that's really going to be the lane to watch out. There probably will be a kill at some point in the mid lane as well. See, look, they're going to be harassing QO very low. There's going to be a ton of mana on Tiny due to the fact that there's been a Wisp there. So that's also a very likely kill, but bot lane unlikely to happen. Febby looking for the fissure block. Nope, just going to nail Ninja Boogie here.
Yeah, just harasses him. Nuts does have a sentry ward on the Witch Doctor, so if they find a kill opportunity, they will have something to deal with the skeleton walk of the Bone Fletcher and possibly find a kill. Bristleback will get that illusion rune down bottom, and in the mid, QO still taking a lot of pressure. And even though he's getting harassed back pretty hard, QO is still farming decently. 8-3 compared to the 11-2 Tiny. He's still doing okay, holding his own against the dual hero matchup.
And Rave now swapping lanes. Darkseer going to the top lane. Clinks coming to the bot lane because the tri-lane was there. It was getting a little scary, plus the pulling was about to go through. So now Jo guarantees that he gets some last hit in the safe lane, and now it's Bristle versus Clinks, which I think is still pretty good for Clinks. He can harass a lot. It's a little mana dependent, but he should be able to keep March at least at a little bit of threat of dying.
Yeah. The offlane Bristle, I know Cinderan's talked about it a lot, but a little lackluster compared to one of the other lanes where you can get a lot of farm, but this is a situation where the offlane Bristle is getting a lot out of the lane to start, so he could be kind of a driving force in this matchup as we get towards the mid game if this keeps up. They'll also rotate the Rubik down, so it is just the offlane Darkseer now. QO barely lives, but does blink back to safety after getting a few more creep kills.
It's so tough. Chrissy's getting almost the same levels of him as well because Cast has been moving to runes very often, so a lot of solo experience for the Tiny is going to help keep him relevant
already
there.
Stacked up like crazy. Look at this perch. Yeah. He's ready.
You can double stack pretty easily if you kill the trees, and that's one of the things that makes Wisp really strong. You got to do the double stack though, and a little bit of harass there on QO. That's going to cost him a bottle charge, and he's going to start bottle crowing. So definitely a bit of a tough lane for QO, but he's at 11 CS. It's okay considering. And again, they switch lanes, putting the pressure on towards the Clinks. That's exactly what MVP needs to do, and this laning musical chairs is just really important for both teams because otherwise it's going to mean less gold and potentially less kills or more deaths.
I mean, just respecting the nature of the hero. Clink's a very classic snowball hero, and if you let him freak farm, let him get a fast Orchid, he can just completely take over a game. Sort of similar to that, like Quaswex Invoker rushing an Orchid, except Clink's is maybe just a bit more bursty on that front. So.
Stacking Ancients as well, man. They have so many stacks. MVP could hypothetically steal these later, but they're in pretty safe positions, so I don't really see that happening, especially with the threat of the Wisp coming out probably really early in this game. Yeah. It's definitely going to be tough. So level 4 now on Tiny gives him a bit more burst damage here. He's going for the wand into the treads. Pretty common Tiny build when he's with a Wisp, and here comes the toss. Ooh, not going to get the vertical toss there. Fissure's going to get both, actually. They're blocked off. Chrissy's in a bit of trouble here. Cast as well, getting low. Great blink from QO is going to keep him on the other side of the danger, and no blink for a bit. There's the Scream again. One more hit on Cast, and that's it. Tosses the ball, almost gets the kill.
Ooh, 10 HP.
If a Wisp dies, does it do physical damage behind you here? He got hit with a little gust of wind and took 150.
Yeah, that was a really close call.
Ooh, he neutrals. Okay.
Still, it's Queen of Pain that gets credit for the kill, and that means First Blood goes that way. And
she neutral denies, which gives nothing to her opponents. It's a good strategy if you buy out. And Earthshaker gets killed on the mid lane, sticks around a bit too long, and with the cast coming back, that's a dead hero.
Right.
So pretty even, except that it was the First Blood killing a Wisp, and shutting down Wisp a bit can be useful. But they're going to go back in on Q. Nope, missing the little spirits here.
All right, so before that, it was a very equal farm distribution, but now the Dire may start to pull ahead just a pinch. Darkseer getting a lot out of this off lane now from the rotation, even though Storm is still the last hit leader. That's a hero that we haven't talked about at all, but another one that with a lot of space can start to take over a game, though perhaps we'll hold that thought as QL almost dies in the mid, but down bottom a fight is breaking out. We saw the beginning of it. The cast bouncing around like crazy. Jo and Ninja Boogie in trouble. Dust is utilized. Rubik will probably be the first to fall as March moves into the tree line to do what little damage he can. A few more quills. There it is. Double kill from March. Great positioning. And 2 kills breaking out at once here. Tiny does manage to finish off QO in the mid lane, and wow, 3 kills is up top. KP gets a solo pick on the Darkseer. So a lot to digest here, Purge.
QO has been doing a really good job not dying, but at some point the Tiny's just going to catch you and do too much, so I'm not too surprised that he died there. But on the bot lane, that was such a clutch play by March. He perfectly fogged. He got enough quills. As you stack more quills, it does more and more damage, and was able to grab the Clinks. That was such an important kill. Chrissy in a bit of trouble. He should be fine here.
Yeah.
No issues at all. But
Wisp nearby.
Bristleback is basically a strong hero in the off lane if he gets a double kill or if he gets a single kill. If he doesn't get those kills, he's mediocre. But him being able to snag that kill there is just so important to the relevance of the game. So now we should see him be able to transform into a bit of a... So I don't know if this is everybody's leg or just having some internet issues here.
It's hard to say. It looks like it's just ours, given that the game hasn't paused. So maybe just a bad connection on the Observer PC. It looks like it's leveled out a bit. So not gonna freak out too much, but things looking okay for MVP Phoenix after that initial little burst of momentum there. The Storm Spirit getting a solo kill is absolutely huge, not only for his farm, but also his levels.
Yep. And he can definitely be a threat in the mid game, and especially late game against Wisp. If he does get farmed enough and the Tiny can't really protect him, then Storm can just fly on in and blow up the Wisp at the start of the fight, and that'll make Tiny a lot worse. So if the Storm does well, it's going to be really tough for Rave here. And they're also lacking a little bit on their supports. Ninja Boogie on the Rubik doesn't even have boots yet. And it is 7 minutes, so he's going to try to get some levels now as they do the jungling, and that should allow him to catch up a bit. Bit of rotations from MVP, though. Earthshaker level 4, they're going to spot out the Clinks. He's not even 6 yet. Fissure comes, do they have a dust or anything? There's a dust being used. Do they block him off? Does he have tangles? He doesn't! That's almost guaranteed a kill, and there's the Blink Scream. Man, they're pressuring the Clinks. That's the hero that has to have a good early game, and he needs to move around getting kills, but he hasn't even hit 6 yet.
This really hurts. The musical lane slowed him down so much, having to run across the map.
Yeah.
And now they're feeling the hurt. Stacks are a way to recover, but MVP Phoenix know that there is some stacking about. You see that ward right up on the little high ground there. It gives some vision into this camp, and they are ready to intercept this kind of recovery from Rave.
Yeah, their movement has been really good here. That aggressive ward, like you said, is going to allow them to see when they're taking those jungle camps, and hopefully they can shift over and get a kill. They still have a couple Ancients, but we won't be seeing anybody take those until Tiny gets his Ags, or the Bristle shifts over and kills it himself.
Curious what build the Tiny will go for here. We've seen a bit more of that Blink Dagger first with the Tiny Wisp, especially in this region.
I think it's okay this game, because there's 2 heroes that are really hard to kill on the Quap and the Storm, and Earthshaker can always Fissure block as you approach, same with Witch Doctor. If he gets a Blink, he can start one-shotting those important cores, but it's up to preference, I guess. Could get Ags as normal.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he'll stop off for drums this game, but pulling up a fair bit of gold.
Could go for this kill. Doesn't have strafe though, so weak attack speed. He would need allies.
He just has nothing. I think there's a.
Is that a Midas? I assume so.
Soul Ring.
No. Wow, he's really underfarmed then.
Yeah. A Midas recipe. Come on, Ferg.
I mean, he's had a rough game obviously, but he has still been CSing. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. Nuts just hanging out in the bottom lane. March now level 7, about to pick up his power tread. Still nothing too crazy in the inventory, but he is feeling good. We'll see a relocate down here in the bottom lane. They get an easy kill on Nuts, but March doing a lot of return damage. Cast may well die here. In comes a long-range zip from KP. Now Chrissy left behind, low on HP. Zip zap all around. Telekinesis does push back the...
Quapo catching too.
Bristleback. They'll try to chase down Jo on one front, and on the other leg, they will go for Ninja Boogie. Fissure will stun him up. Stuck behind the tower. They ping him out, but he will just TP home. So they get Wisp Tiny. Possibly could have gotten a third there, but still great for MVP Phoenix. A 1 for 2. The Witch Doctor died first, and then they played cleanup. Now they'll be able to claim an objective in this Tier 1 tower to boot.
They did such a good job TPing to the lane instantly upon the relocate, and obviously Nuts got blown up due to the intel brought to by the Clinks, but getting all those return kills is just so significant, and that's again the problem with Bristle getting a little farm. They would have loved to have a double kill there, but it would have taken a lot more work to kill him, or at least having an avalanche toss for him. So
yeah, they let the Earthshaker take the last hit on the tower, so that secures his arcane boots, gives the whole team a little more sustainability as they continue to group up and stay aggressive. Darkseer is getting a lot of farm out of this offlane while all the rotations are going about, but it's just a Darkseer.
Yeah, it's just a Darkseer. He's not that good against Quap, not that good against Storm. He'll combo nicely with the Tiny, I suppose, with the Ion Shell, but there's not a huge amount of synergy there. I guess the Surge on one of those heroes will be useful, but they still have things like Fissure. Cast can do really long duration stuns, that kind of stuff, so it's a little scary for them. March is going to do some Ancienting here. They've been stacking this up probably with Earthshaker, and that should give Earthshaker his level 6, so I assume at least it might be close.
Yeah, just a simple triple stack here. It should be more than enough XP for him. Good news for March, though. Gets a little more economy going his way. And all the while in the top lane, Rave making some rotations. KP, is that an invisibility rune on Ninja Boogie there?
Yeah,
sure is.
It's almost out, though. And again, they still don't have strafe. They've got a support coming out, the lift and the relocate. Here comes Avalanche. Not a little too late. They need to start the relocate right before the lift because it wouldn't be enough. The ball's going to hit 2. Jo gets maledicted, being chased.
Cast is dead. Oh no, now Chrissy's in a lot of trouble. Jo as well, they get left behind. Echo Slam flies through, finishes off the Clinks. Tiny also, it's a disaster. 3 dead already. Ninja Boogie on the run, and it doesn't look like he'll be able to make an escape. Ryo will TP home, but a 4 for nil. Another disastrously relocate, and 11-4. MVP Phoenix are taking this game over sooner rather than later.
Man, I just feel bad for Rave right now. It's got to be so demoralizing losing those little team fights and stuff, but their stun duration is just so low. I just really like the picks out of MVP here, the Storm, and having the Quap.
So they start to set this up onto KP. The relocate just a little bit too slow. It's half a second. Chrissy's right there with the Avalanche, but KP with the finger on the trigger. The cask just barely bounces the Ninja Boogie, and that's what ultimately sets up the kill onto him.
Great Fissure as well.
Yeah, Fevy.
Everybody is there, man.
Really having a good game, and this Echo Slam gets right in position, just barely clips Jo, finds the kill there, and the rest of it just falls apart.
Once you don't get that storm kill, it's just almost impossible to retreat because he can always chase after you, provide slows, provide vision, all that important stuff. So,
and you're just in so deep at that point. I mean, they were close to the tier 2 in the lane, and
I think Rave is doing the right thing. They need to get ganks off here because they are behind, but they're not quite executing them perfectly, and it becomes even harder because everybody's HP is strong. So they've got to do the relocate and then immediately lift and then do the avalanche toss. And Chrissy's going to get caught on the tier 1 tower, and he doesn't get it off.
Oh, what a beautiful Death Ward. The cast bounces right into him. It's another duo of kills for MVP Phoenix. One going to the Witch Doctor and one for the Storm Spirit. Nicely played by Nuts. That was just beautiful positioning. The cask right there to hit the Wisp as soon as he comes in, and the Death Ward just blew him up. With no armor, the Wisp is an easy kill there.
I don't even think he was expecting the Wisp to be there necessarily. He was just throwing a stun out, but the Wisp came in at the perfect time, and he was trying to relocate, but if you stun a Wisp while he's channeling that, it cancels. So and that's exactly what happened. Another 2 kills going to MVP, and I think that was a pretty rare mistake from Chrissy.
And another tower. That's the big thing here.
Yes. Man, it's just looking so dire for Rave here in this game. They just keep getting so many kills. There's the blink scream and another kill going to MVP.
Ninja Boogie from full to 0 in the blink of an eye. Nice setup from MVP Phoenix. And at this point, they are just balling out of control. They've got to be ahead by nearly 7,500 net worth at this point, if not more. And we're only 14 minutes in. Yeah, they're soon to break the 5-figure mark.
That's such a big disadvantage, especially with the mobility. They blink forward, Avalanche. This could be a killing kill. The toss does snag it. This is what Rave needs. That's just one, but that was a big kill, and I think the blink was absolutely mandatory here on Tiny. The only way they're going to be able to snowball this is by getting a stupid amount of kills, and blink is the one way to facilitate that. He's got a lot of targets too. Earthshaker's fairly squishy, Witch Doctor definitely squishy, and QO on the Qual definitely squishy. Even Storm's going to be squishy for a bit here.
Yeah, March is just that one target that he can't really go for.
Absolutely not.
Everyone else is essentially food, and March is itemizing very well here. Grabs himself the early Vanguard as well as the cloak. So yeah, he's not dying to Tiny anytime soon. That's for sure.
Even the Clinks, there's no way Clinks will get him because as soon as Clinks shows up, he'll turn his back and run.
Yeah, I mean, Clinks still has no items either, so his damage output is lackluster to say the least.
I don't think we'll see anything out of Clinks for the next 5 minutes. I mean, maybe he'd kill a Witch Doctor if Witch Doctor uses stun on something else, but I don't see Clinks being able to kill anybody in the early game here. And he's so far away from any kind of team fight item like Orchid or Desolator. He's just entirely reliant on his skill points, and at this moment, the enemy team is doing much better.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if they can get some towers, find some objectives, that's a different story, but it is tough stuff.
So last time he played Clinks in a pro match was on EG in 2013, a very long time ago, back when Jo was on that American team. I feel like it doesn't really fit Jo's playstyle. I think he has.
Yeah, I would agree.
He's more of like a consistent carry player. I don't see him as more of a ganking type player. He does do ganking styles sometimes, but as a whole, I think it's different than his typical playstyles. Not saying he can't adjust, but he's definitely having a hard time here. But I think that's more just due to MVP playing really well.
Storm has just gotten so much momentum, though. Not only from that early farm, but all these kills. Gets a 15-minute Orchid on top of having Treads, Bottle, and Wand. This is a great timing, yeah.
Normally when you get Orchid, you're sitting on 800, 900 HP, but he's already at level 11 with the Wand pickup as well and sitting on Strength Treads. He doesn't even look like a threat here. And once he gets his point booster, then Tiny can't one-shot him anymore. So the next team fight is really crucial for Rave. If they don't win it convincingly, it's going to be so almost impossible to come back.
A battle for ward coverage here. 2 sentries come down for the Radiant side. They've also got an Observer of their own. They will reclaim a little bit of vision in their jungle. That's something. QO takes a combo, will be able to blink back. No bounce on the cast, but in comes the rest of the team. KP zipping across, Orchid out on the cast. That should secure the kill. One more auto attack does get it. Soulburn not quite enough, but now Ninja Boogie a little bit left behind. Tiny also falls on the backside to the Witch Doctor. Looks like his ultimate was enough to secure the kill there. Split pushing from the Clinks does secure a tower kill in the mid lane, but a very small consolation after losing a 3-0 battle in the Radiant jungle.
If they would have grabbed the Quap with the initiation, it would have been okay, but they were still going to lose those 2 supports no matter what because Storm was in the area. And MVP doing the smart thing, just 4-manning essentially. They don't really care that much about losing towers right now. It's like it's a small piece of the gold pie compared to getting kills or letting them start the snowball. If 2 MVP heroes go back to counter push and try to kill Jo and the Darkseer, then all of a sudden maybe Tiny's able to get a solo kill. I think the dangerous hero here is definitely Tiny. Don't let Tiny do well. Look where Tiny is, sit behind the heroes that he might go on, and then swing things around. Because if Wisp never gets gets any items, he's going to get killed by either Quap or Storm solo for the rest of the game.
I mean, you saw how easy it was for Storm in that fight. And that was even with a nice Rubik lift to kind of break things up a little bit. And now a second Orchid comes out for MVP Phoenix. QO secures the 17-minute mark. Double Orchid, lots of silence here to lock down everyone on Rave.
It works so good against all their heroes. Darkseer, if he ever gets a wall vacuum off, I'm going to be very surprised this game. And even if he does, it doesn't do that much against the enemy heroes. Like,
he does have a mech at least. That's something. But.
Yes, that'll help. But I think killing, initiating and not worrying about stuns, that's something they have the luxury of. It's Rubik lift, Avalanche toss, and that's pretty much it. That's all the Orchids,
Yeah.
Counters everything they want to do, and you get damage amp out of it. So Rave now sitting mostly in their jungle, the rest of MVP just moving together. This is a smart thing to do if they do solo heroes. They have to deal with relocate as well. So
the other issue here is Ninja Boogie is just so poor. You look at his net worth, a measly 1,300 in 18 minutes, and he just has no items. You look at Rubik as a big playmaker that could turn a fight around if he gets something like a Blink Dagger, steals a Sonic Wave, but he's just food at this point. He can't position himself well enough to really get off these epic spell steals in these fights.
It's because MVP is so mobile. They've got Storm and Quap. It makes it very difficult, and positioning is also punished because of the Earthshaker fissure. So no matter what he does at this point, he's in a really dangerous spot. He basically has to hide in trees at all times.
Yeah.
That way the Storm doesn't know where he is. That's the most important thing when playing support versus Storm. Don't let Storm know where you are. Don't let him initiate on you. You hide, you wait till he goes on your ally, and then you pop out.
This will be another great trade for MVP Phoenix. They've gotten 2 towers for the price of 1 so far, and they might just keep on going and see how Rave reacts. Have a poke at the high ground and force them to TP home. Radiant do have a glyph here, so they'll have a get out of jail free card, but just look at how much damage is coming onto this tower. They've got a huge creep wave with them. This is about to be a free tier 3. This could be a 3-for-1.
There's almost nothing that Rave can do to defend against this. If MVP just plays it anywhere normal, Blink, oh my god, what a sick Orchid. Vacuum comes through, so pull on Jo. Jo might be in trouble. Fissure comes through. Quap only catching him, but that big mech that's helping a lot. Jo's still alive. March might go down. He does go down, but everybody else getting cleaned up in the backline. Buybacks come for everybody that's dead. Chrissy's at full HP, so this is still a huge threat. Fabby's gonna get picked off, and they did it. They overextended. Rave did get some buybacks out of it. 2, toss in the air. Will Storm go down? He's almost out of mana. If they get the Storm kill, it's gonna be worth it. They do get him. That's Aegis. He's gonna full mana pool though.
He should be able to get out here. QO on his way back
toss
in.
In there, great Orchid as well. They grab him.
Whoa, nicely played. That's a wicked 6 streak ended. Now QO is just on the way out. Relocate onto the other side. Left Blink in 1 second, and he'll go to the high ground.
Okay,
that'll be his survival. So MVP Phoenix.
That was pretty good.
Ooh, close from Chrissy.
Look at that goal change. They made it. They got 2 buybacks and 2 deaths, completely worth it. The only thing that they had to not do was get overextended, but they forced the start of the fight that forced MVP to react, and it just worked well enough. Replay coming up here. Let's see exactly what happened. So to start things off, the Darkseer moved forward. Chrissy blinked in. What a sick Orchid there. They were prepping that there. That prevented the initiation. Ryor comes in, looks for the vacuum. No wall there, and they went on Jo, and the important part is Jo's so tanky by using his ultimate there. They used almost all their nukes there. The mech kept him alive for long enough that March overextended, the Fissure as well, and eventually they did clean up those 2 heroes, but that was overextension. They bought back, they moved back in, and Chrissy, then no longer silenced, was able to clean up the fight. So that was perfect circumstances there for Rave in that team fight.
Yeah, unfortunately the problem before that though is they traded 1 for 3 towers, so even though it's a really good team fight, MVP Phoenix still get an okay trade out of it, all things considered.
I can't believe they got the Storm kill as well. They started with the
Nice
toss. Actually, no lift was able to be done, but the burst damage just somehow got him. That was, even without the Quap kill, I think that was a good placement.
Right back into a fight. He's already Orchided. This should be an easy kill on the Rubik. Soulburn, 1 last auto attack will finish him off. He won't have a buyback available here. Now cast. He doesn't have an ulti. QO could jump on him to tether away, and he will TP home. MVP Phoenix will continue the aggression here, knowing they forced out 2 buybacks last time. Looks like they'll just try to have a go once more. Chrissy has the Aghanims now off that last fight, so that is a big step in the right direction for Rave.
It does give him some burst damage as well, makes his toss better. And since he has Blink, he has a really high chance of tossing the person he wants. So MVP's got to be careful now. I think it's time to play safe and go Roche, honestly. Actually, they did that in the last fight, and it still didn't work out. But I don't know if I would want to go high ground against Rave here, because it's an elimination match. They went high ground the last time. It didn't quite work out. Obviously, that was buybacks, but even March got blown up pretty rapidly. I think the tower was hitting him or something like that.
What happened to his cloak? I mean, it's just sitting on the courier.
May have just sold it. I mean, you do have
like
some.
He just passed it away.
Bristol always has item slot problems, especially when you opt for a bottle here. He's got bottle, wand, TP, that's 3 slots, and you got boots, that's 4, and then you buy a Vanguard, it's a 2,000 gold item, and all of a sudden you have very low net worth for the amount of item slots you have. And I don't think this is a Crimson Guard game. I say he just tanks up Sanjunyasha and tries to kill heroes.
Is he going SNY or is that a BKB on the way for him?
It could be a BKB, but I think SNY is the right option. BKB does allow you to hit Tiny without getting craggy.
It feels like they just want BKB to give him the edge now and really tighten the noose in this next 5 to 10 minute window.
That's an option, definitely.
That's kind of what they did in game number 1. Luby and I talked a lot about the BKB second item on Quap, and it worked out really well because that was the exact style they went for. Went right into the base, and I think they won the game when it was still an 8-second BKB charge.
That's a really good point. If they just get BKBs, then they have almost no way to lose the team fight because most of Rave's damage is magic. Everybody's damage in the early game is usually magic.
And with 2 buybacks on cooldown, they could have this window here where it might only take 2 BKB charges to win a few team fights and break the high ground. So maybe they'll wait for next Roche before that happens. They still have a little ways to go, but BKB is coming out of plenty here. KP closing in on his as well.
Yeah, over the late game, BKB is a pretty bad item, but what it allows you to do is win team fights and get gold advantage from that. And if they use BKBs and they get a Rex, then that's a huge advantage over the late game. The creeps are worth less. It's constantly pushing in. It forces your hand in a lot of cases because your map control isn't good. You might have to defend rather than going to contest the Roche, and it should lead to more advantages for MVP. Looking for the chase on Quap, but he was a bit too far away there.
Yeah, not quite.
Jo has a Ogre Club. Is he going to have to BKB rush on Klinks? That's not the situation you want to be in, but as long as it works like the last fight where they focus on you when you have 1500 HP, it could be really good.
So the BKB comes out on the Bristleback as well as the the Queen of Pain. Storms is still in production, but that's 2 out of the 3 they have on the way.
Storm's 8 kills.
Just about there.
God.
Yeah,
he's doing really well.
That last fight was his first death. That just shows how much control MVP Phoenix has had throughout this entire game.
Yeah, K Phoenix has been playing really well this game. I think he's been doing great on Storm. So Rave trying to pull it back, getting as much farm as they can in the meantime. Chrissy at 5, 4, and 2. Eggs is up for him. Next item is probably... I think he kind of needs a BKB here, honestly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as what MVP is doing. You know, you got to counter the... You have to be able to win that team fight for sure. Super important.
Yeah.
It counters... I mean, they have to deal with Cask. Cask can easily win the fight against a Tiny...
What about Manta rather than the BKB? Get a little more damage?
It's such bad damage for, like... You can stop silences with it. That's the old school Tiny build, but I haven't seen anybody do it in forever.
I guess he's not really the Orchid target.
Why not just get BKB? Then it protects against all the silences. It protects against the potential Witch Doctor.
The Wisp buddy, doesn't it not play well with Wisp?
What?
With the tether and whatnot? And relocate?
With Manta?
No, BKB.
Oh,
so why to get Manta over BKB?
If you tether before he BKBs, then it's fine. It's a small potential error. Like, why move over BKB? Or to just guarantee you don't get stunned. There's an Earthshaker as well. He's probably got a Blink Dagger. Yeah. If you don't have a BKB and he initiates on you, you're stunned for 4.5 seconds. Tiny just dies at the start of the fight, forced to buy back.
Yeah,
like, you have to get a BKB in this case. You can't go greedy with having a Manta, which maybe gives you movement speed and you attack faster and stuff, but you need to win the team fight, and he has to guarantee. Like what happened last fight. He blinked in, MVP had the presence of mind to have the Orchid already queued so that if Tiny got within range, it auto-Orchided. And they had that smart play, and it forced Rave into a slightly worse situation. Like, he didn't even get to do an Avalanche toss until 6 seconds later. So if he gets BKB, he doesn't have to worry about that. He just blink Avatosses with BKB on, blows up one hero if they're out of position, and then this fight starts well for Rave. I think it has to be a BKB this game.
We'll see. He's getting close to the threshold. He's got about 3K sitting in the bank. Roche will be up in just about a minute, and it seems like that's what MVP Phoenix is waiting for. Actually, a bit less now, 30 seconds. They took out the Tier 2 tower in the bottom, so there is still one outer tower remaining for the Radiant side. It is that Tier 2 standing in the mid, so that'll be one more access point they'll have to chew through. Do you think Rave can actually contest this next Roche, or do they need to or do they basically just have to hand it over?
I think they can, because they've already got a smoke ready to go. They're kind of moving and grouping together here. Roche is pretty much has to be up about here, and they've also got relocate, so they don't have to commit everybody to being in the area.
That's true.
I guess it's tough because they're at a gold disadvantage. There's a high chance that they'll lose the fight.
If they get wiped at the Roche pit, then things are looking very rocky for them.
But is that better than letting them have an Aegis? That's a question I'm not completely sure.
It's a toss-up. It's really tricky.
If they have their BKB, I say go for it.
They have the BKB on Klinks now, so that is a BKB. Of course, not the one that you're talking about. But
there's so many BKBs this game.
Yeah, it's now 3 on the Dire side. Also the Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker, something that I don't know that we made mention of, but certainly worth taking point. So here we go. Roche is back up. Radiant do not have any vision in this area of the map. They are completely blind. So, like you said, Roche needs to be up soon, but they don't know the exact timing, and it looks like they will not contest.
It's scary, I guess.
Too far away.
If they spot you on the way there and you take the fight in any bad way, they will clean you up with Storm. So I guess the safer thing to do is wait till they go high ground. I mean, they beat an Aegis last time. They can do it again. And again, it's BKBs, so it's not a Bloodstone. Once the fight starts and most of the mana's gone, he's going to be out of mana. They could potentially clean up. So the longevity of the fight is mostly centered around that first 10 seconds. So they're going to have to play around the Aegis again. And that's really tough on Storm as well because that's double the mana. So even with the BKB build, he should have a lot of mana. That should be at least 2 or 3 kills if he's uncontested. So
MVP just going straight up the mid lane. Looks like Rave will try to split push at least for now. Maybe just trade tier 2 for tier 2, get any little bit of extra gold they can. Having extra reliable gold at this stage is certainly handy for buybacks, which were needed last time to make that happen, and I reckon that could be the case again here. They will have a glyph, so that's something that will certainly be in their favor.
I like this position. He might be able to get a solo kill here.
Oh, this is big.
You know, if there's setup, he goes for it. There's the Orchid Storm Balls in. Easy kill. That's a really good way to start the fight.
Oh boy.
They're already hitting the racks on the top barracks. The creeps were in the base, so they should be able to do this. Might see an avalanche toss. BKB goes through vacuum as well. JO gets low. QO gets really low. BKB, he almost gets away. He does live.
Oh no, here we go. The channel, or the Death Ward getting a good channel here. JO will fall next. He doesn't have a buyback either. Now the Wisp is dead, but buys back straight away. Witch Doctor falls off to the backside. Chrissy has already used his BKB, and he's on a bit of a retreat. Decent fight for the Dire side. Now they force out the glyph, but they will have to retreat here. It looks like the Storm still has the Aegis, but we'll need to back up. Chrissy blinks back, combo onto the Earthshaker, gets a recovery kill there. Maybe they can find a few more on the retreat. Bristleback spamming out those quills, but vacuum back, getting whomped by the branch of Chrissy. I think March is dead here. He gets tossed up, and it's going to be too much damage for him.
It's good for them that the Storm didn't die, because he would have had more mana here, and he would have been able to help out March, but they get the kill. They didn't lose Rax, actually. I'm quite surprised that worked out for them. It looked like it looked for sure like they lost that fight. I mean, the good start of the fight was Quap going down to 1 HP basically. Even if he didn't die, he had to leave. He disengaged. The bottle's too dangerous against the Tiny. Like, he's got 500 HP. There's no way he can come back in, because if Chrissy outplays him, bam, that's another dead hero. And he was able to get the Earthshaker, and then at that point they were easily able to chase down the Bristle. So that was good for them, I think. I assume they got a gold advantage. There was a Wisp buyback, but the hero doesn't really need that much farm. Like, he would need a BKB to be relevant here, I think. So
yeah, probably a close to break-even fight. MVP Phoenix did get 3 kills out of it themselves, so still did a fair bit of damage. Now the Aghanims comes out on the Quap, and it looks like Storm will be working on a Bloodstone coming out next.
That's the hard part, is that Storm got gold out of that, and he didn't die.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
Where's the party? Oh, what I missed?
Radiant's top barracks has fallen. Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
That's for me.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Double kill.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's middle barracks are under attack. Radiant's middle barracks has fallen.